Alright, so welcome to the first video in a new series called Engineering Entrepreneurship. And what we're going to do is talk about how engineers make apps and make mobile websites that everybody uses every day. So some people think that software is built through mojo and mystery and magic, and that's not true. Think of software engineers as storytellers. So we write stories for computers, and all computers do is store information, manipulate information, and allow us to retrieve or view that information. And so the difference in between every piece of software are the rules. And the rules are written by programmers or software engineers. So here's a little quick analogy in between how storytellers and software engineers are the same. So we have a story broken up in between chapters. Chapters are the same thing as classes. And now a chapter has paragraphs. And in software engineering, classes have functions. Paragraphs have words. And in software engineering, functions have variables. And words have definitions. And variables also have definitions. The tricky part is that in software engineering, engineers define their own variables. So if you think of language, think about the English language. We have English, Spanish, French, all of these different languages for humans to communicate with each other. In software engineering, there's just as many different languages for humans to communicate with computers. And the whole purpose of software engineering is to take a big problem, break it down into small problems, solve the small problem so that the big problem can get solved. And so that's what the whole purpose of defining and creating stories for computers to understand. So the problem and the story for today is Tic Tac Toe. Now, Tic Tac Toe is a game that everyone is familiar with. So, Tic Tac Toe has two players that are trying to get the correct color or shape either horizontally, diagonally, or vertically. And so, just so we're all on the same page, we're going to write these rules down because the rules of the application are the most important. So, two players. In our case, they're going to be red and black. They alternate turns. And they're trying to get their same color horizontally, diagonally, and vertically. So this would be a win, that would be a win, that would be a win, 2, and so there's 8 total winning combinations. That's important. So now we have our rules of the game. We know exactly what game that we're playing, and so now we can go ahead and start writing the code to make this game work. Now, just like I said, software engineers tell stories. This is a short story, so we actually don't need any classes for this. All we need are variables and functions. So the functions that we're going to use, and we get to come up with them ourselves, is the first function that we're going to use is going to be called game. The second function that we're going to use is called add move. And we're going to define these functions in a little bit. And then the last function that we're going to use is called isWinner. So let's get our board again, because we're going to need to reference that as we're building the game. And don't worry, you're going to get the real code for this at the end of the video. Oh, and the variable that we need. So one of the interesting things about functions and variables is that functions can have variables, but variables can also live outside of functions. And that allows other functions to access them. So the variable that we're going to use outside is going to actually be called Tic Tac Toe. And so Tic Tac Toe is going to hold our current player, which we're going to keep track of. It's going to keep track of all of our players. It's going to keep track of the total moves and our winning combinations. So our players variable have the color and the moves for that player. And our winning combos variable is basically going to store the number of combinations that it takes to actually win. So we're going to name each of these pieces on the board. So this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In software engineering, we always start counting with 0 instead of 1. And so this winning combinations variable will hold 0, 1, 2, because that's a win. It'll hold 2, 5, 8, because that's a win, etc. So it'll hold all 8 of our winning combinations. Now, our game function, the whole purpose of our game function is just to say, whenever someone clicks on this board, call add move. Right? So anytime someone clicks on this board, we're going to call add move. The purpose of add move is to check and make sure that our total moves are going to be less than 0. So less than 8. Total moves are less than 8. And make sure that the piece that's clicked on has been unused. So if the piece that's clicked on is unused. And if that's the case, then we can continue forward in the function. So now that we have this, we know that we haven't ran out of moves, and we know that this piece is untouched. We're going to take the current player, and we're going to color the game piece with that current player's color. And then we're also going to update that current player's moves by taking the game piece and adding the number. So for example, if I have a black player and I click on 1, this current player moves variable is going to have 1 in it. The next player that clicks on red, their current player moves variable is going to have a 2 in it. And if the black player comes and clicks on 4, the current player moves variable will have a 4 in it. So we're going to keep track of every single piece that each player has. Now, after we've updated the color on the game piece and we've updated the moves for that particular player, we're going to call isWinner. Right? Because now it's time to see, do we have a winner? In our isWinner function, the only thing that we're going to be doing is looking at the current player and seeing if it has if the current player has enough moves to win. So for example, currently our black player would have 1 and 4. So whenever we checked our winning combos, there is no 1 and 4, mainly because that's only 2 moves. But if our next move for red was 5, after we called is winner, we still wouldn't have a winner. But if black landed here in 7, whenever we called is winner, there would be a combination for 1, 4, and 7 inside of our winning combos. And so 1, 4, and 7 would match inside of his winner, and boom, it would say black is winner. And that's the concept behind building the game Tic Tac Toe. You take a big problem, you break it up into small problems using variables and functions and classes, and you write it in a language that a computer can understand. So thank you for having this good time with us, and see you on the next video.